Hello everyone. We have a game with the black pieces. And okay, so this is like the advanced Caro Kann, but if he plays d4, which he does. So in the advanced Caro Kann, we develop our bishop outside of the pawn chain. And we see what white does. So white plays f3, which tells me he wants to play and trap my bishop. So e6, g4, back here. I mean, we still have time to create space for it. So the most he can do is gain space. And then his knight can't go to its best square. So I'm not worried about my bishop, so I'm going to close the pawn chain. Now he's threatening to do this. We don't want that. So I'm going to go h5. Gain as much space as I can myself on this side. He can still play it, but my bishop isn't trapped. So we take, opening up our rook, coordinating with our queens. So that's nice for us. We also get this nice central square with tempo. So he's going to have to trade it for a minor piece anyway. So that's why I said I wasn't scared about closing my pawn chain. If anything, I'd rather be black here. Great rook. It didn't have to move. It's only 7 moves in the game, and my rook is super strong. And rooks usually take like, move 20 or more to have any effect. Now he can't castle king side, also bad. Rated 1525, but collapsing instantly, right? This pawn is hanging. We can take it. If he captures back, we take with check, and that's devastating. So what do? Now his rook's hanging though, so you can't just develop casually. So he moves it again. I guess it looks at my king. It's a bit odd. I mean, there's weird moves, but that he's just going to develop the knight, let's say. So I don't want to waste time. Although you could then make space for the queen. It's all interesting, but I really just want to develop a new piece. Let's say knight here, which doesn't get in the way of anything and threatens to take the pawn with threats. If he decides to sack his piece, we can just bring the rook back and open that square for our queen. Taking with the pawn doesn't seem to have any merit, so let's go this way. And now we forced him to give up his dark square bishop. So now we have the bishop pair. So he challenges it, but at any endgame we're up a clean pawn, and that's something to consider. So if we take it, he has to take. We then have the queen check. If he doesn't want to, and then let's say he blocks with the rook, we move our queen in, we're hitting the knight. He develops the knight, but then we have rook to the back rank. This is very problematic for him. So let's get rid of his bishop because we don't want to ruin our structure anyway. Now we can develop for free, right? Beautiful heavy pieces, perfectly solid structure. The only thing he would try to use is the F file since it's semi-open for him, but he would need to be a double or triple stacked. I can only just castle long, so he's in serious trouble. So he does move his king because the other lines are super dangerous. This also defends his knight, which is a little bonus for him. I wish I could play rook f6, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Queen here ties down the knight, but ties down my queen. If he tries to attack it, check, back, check. My queen should be fine. So let's develop the knight. Or we can play c5, c5, c4, knight out. F6. He just ignores me, and I take, and he takes. I still can't put a rook there. Let's get a knight out. I love having my knights moved because you're a lot safer with your knight out. He develops his knight. Probably wants to hit my queen this way. My queen did its job. It doesn't need to be here. guess I'll just castle long right here. Yep, let's castle long. Okay, now he hits our queen. So our queen's got to move. For one turn, we might have to go here. It's not a problem though because we're not really blocking our bishop. The reason is because we're castled long and we wanted our king out of the way to play f6 to get to his king and get a rook here. So having the bishop here is fine because, I mean, you don't want it on any of these squares anyway. And once we play f6, it's going to have, like, everything's going to break open and it's going to have better squares and he'll develop it afterwards. For the time being, he's down a pawn, but more importantly, his king is, I mean, it doesn't have any pawns. It has a bunch of pieces, which he needs to protect it. But its pawn cover's ruined. It's not like he can castle long here, right? So he moves the queen. Doesn't really do anything that I see. Is there a downside to f6? I don't think so. I think it's what we want to do. Let's play it. And we're attacking the center and opening the king. That's the idea. Now you could still have done something like c5 instead, breaking on that side. Even though your king's here, king b8, your king is perfectly safe. The c5 square is supported a ton of times with pieces. But f6 leads a direct file to the king with a rook, and I like that. And so we're up a pawn, but I'd much rather have black's position. Now he's wasting turns running with the king, so we don't mind seeing that. At the end of the day, he's going to have to give up some type of dark square once we take. So let's take. This opens the f file. If he takes with the pawn, that gives us the c5 square. Also very bad for him. He does have this pawn, but no one really cares. And although we can't put our rook here, like I said, we have the c5 square. So for example, knight out, improve for free, can't really complain. Queen out with threats, can't really complain. Could also even fianchetto this bishop because it targets something and they can't defend it with a pawn. And so it might be worth the trouble to do that. Because, I mean, it's super annoying for him. Okay, so g here, here, or here. Probably, see, if I improve the knight for free, it's not pressuring the center. And once his queen moves, what's my knight doing here? Like, let's say he just goes back. We have other free moves, but maybe. Yeah, maybe getting it here is worth it. Okay, so let's throw in this free improving move. I mean, we're already up a pawn. We have our win condition. So we could just trade stuff. It's not a big deal. So he does go here. It also threatens this pawn. So that's something to think about. So you might want to chuck in the king move. Like I said, it's always a good move you can throw in. So let's do it. Because sometimes white can always play c4 too, try to open that file. But your king's not even there anymore, so it's just a useful move you know is definitely good for you. So he undefends these squares, but attacks the rook. So the rook's most active square is probably back here. I don't see anything wrong with that. Stares at his pieces, looks good. And he wasted a turn doing this, which I don't see what it actually does. I think my rook is better now than before. A knight here is annoying. He can only really challenge it through this knight, which undefends this pawn. So he's making this move, but he's only improving my knight anyway. And this comes with threats on the pawn, looking at dark squares, and it's an outpost. So he shouldn't be encouraging this, moves like this. I guess one upside to this is the queen defends the rook, so okay, no longer defends the rook, but he is trying to blast through. Of course, blasting through is never going to work because you would push past with c5 with great effect. Um, so there's that. This is a forkable square. There's that. I think now we can just create a tiny bit of space for our bishop. That way we can get our other rook on an open file. So he moves the rook, defending that way. I suppose it makes some sense. Now we can fianchetto. Now this has permanent pressure on a permanently weak pawn. He tries to attack this, but I don't think it can ever really work. You can play c5 immediately. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just play c5. We'll keep these pawns intact, and then we'll recapture with the queen. And now the queen on c5 is an extremely powerful piece. Coordinates with the rook, offers a queen trade, attacks pawns, attacks rooks, does everything. So he takes, and we recapture. We're still up a pawn with a much better position. So now this has permanent pressure, which is annoying for white. The rook has permanent pressure in the back rank. So now all we need to do is get our d rook in the game. And of course we will probably need to relocate this knight, probably back because it's hanging. But now what can he do, right? This rook is kind of stuck between these two. He can't coordinate with his other rook anywhere. His knights are defending each other, and he makes a king move, which is somewhat baffling. I guess he wants to defend this pawn as fast as possible, which does make some sense. Okay, where do we want this rook? I mean, that's an annoying square. So let's go through the open F file instead of the open H file, because this puts a lot of permanent pressure on squares that he's not going to enjoy. But right now our knight's hanging. We could go to a forward beautiful outpost, or we can just attack the center. Let's attack the center, because while this square does look really nice, this square actually concretely does something you can speak in words. This check vacates a defender of the pawn, and then we can take the pawn. You know, that's real. A knight on here, it looks nice, but what's real about it? It has no forward jumps. It's still nice and controls a lot of squares, and you definitely would like a knight there, but if you can win a pawn, win a pawn. So he goes here, which is a bit odd. I feel like we can throw in this check. He'll probably go here, so he can try to hang on to the pawn. A bit weird though. Now when we go here, we add a third attacker. We get it where we wanted it. But when you go back, you don't have three attackers. So we take with the knight to create discoveries on the king. And we keep our bishop on a beautiful diagonal. It's even better, much better, without a pawn here. So he takes, but this allows check with a overwhelming center. What's the easiest way to go about this? His knight's almost trapped, so let's kind of force it to move. But in the meantime, we get two rooks to annoy him, maybe even checkmate him on the back rank, depending. Okay, so he moves his knight, so now we have the possibilities I was looking for. This is a thing, this is the thing. Oh, but we're out of time, so let's just throw in a random check, because we keep running out of time, down to 1 minute. Okay, let's not flag. Let us attack a weakness with three things. This is a move because his rook is hanging. if we want to attack it with 4 things. This is a weakness, but right now I think this is a move. Okay. I'm just gonna make the most automatic move I see, which is to pin the knight now that the rook left here. Okay, he has to go back. Now we're gonna attack it with 2 rooks. He can't defend it with the rook though. Let me not pre-move. But he has to go here, otherwise I take it with the other guy. But in case he tries a tricky pre-move, I'll wait a second. Now he can't defend the knight. So this whole sequence nets me a piece. Counterplay, none. Maybe this is his best move. Okay, so we take the free piece, and he's in a mating net because of these guys. So if we go like here, okay. I'm gonna push, check, here. Oh, that's not mate. I'll just go for his rook then. Wait, is there no mate? Let me just take his rook. Here, how's there no mate? Because he can keep running. Okay, I don't have time to calculate it, you know, which pawn I need to push, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess I already calculated it. Let's push these pawns, and he's still in a mating net if I do. He's hitting my rook, so let's just put it on a protected square. He can take this. But I'm up 10 points of material. So let's hit the king, force it here. Go here. Now this is a mate. Yeah. Got it. Finally. Even if he goes here, I still have it. Okay. What is this mating net? I had to put the king on this side to cover the a6 square. If I went the other way, he's offering me a rematch, but no, that was a good game by him. He played very well. A lot better than all the other people so far. So we have a Caro Kann on the board. He plays this weird move order that transposes into an advance. So development and center. Center and development. This is prophylaxis. He's clearly trying to trap my bishop, so it's a forced move. And now free stuff, because it's free positional gain. He also has pawn hanging. Oh, I could have taken this immediately because of tactics. He doesn't have time for the bishop, but either way, you still much rather be black here. Now I take free stuff, and the position just kind of looks winning. You know, I don't really see how white's going to end up winning this game. He has to kind of fight for a draw. And development. And you can't do center because it would hang, so. It also comes for free, so it makes sense to go this way. Force move. And now it says already like minus 2.4. A winning position more or less, positionally. He goes for the bishop trade, and we take it to get rid of our liability. And we're just up a clean pawn. He has these weaknesses. He can't castle. We get our queen in with check, develop for free. Develop, center. King safety, development. Force move, our queen was hit. And now f6, breaking open the position because of king safety, and it will develop all of our pieces one way or another. Now let's go back. The engine says, yes, f6 as the top move. And you see how c5 and king b8 are the next best moves. So I said, even though you're castled here, you can still play c5. It opens up your position. I only chose f6 for the specifics of his king. So it's nice to have that confirmed by the engine. So we play it. He moves his king, but we open up the position, so improving move for free. If he takes with the knight, or whether he takes with the knight or not, we would trade, and the c5 square becomes available to our pieces. So that's good for us. So he takes, it says it's -4. Even though it may look like we're kind of passive, it's just a winning structure. We have the squares, we have no weaknesses. Not no weaknesses, but you know, this is at least is all super solid. And he's riddled with weaknesses. So we improve for free. And we just make a prophylactic improving move. Force move, improving. Force move, improving. And we just threw in this move. It's time for development, right? So development and development. They're saying I could play c5 at any time. I did play it eventually. It's still -3, completely crushing. I now play c5. Force move. Force move. Force move. Improving move. Force move for free. Improving move for free. Improving move for free. Forced. Free stuff. Force move. Improving move. And I mean, you just target, you know, you checkmate him or you attack his targets. And you're going to end up material and you just win the game. In our case, we gave a bunch of random checks, targeted his pawn, and switched to the knight, and then switched back to the knight because we won stuff, and then we just mated him. So, pretty straightforward. Yeah, you had one cool tactic in the beginning, right here. No. Right here. You know, I was just moving quickly, and I see an obvious good move for the bishop, so that's what I did. But you definitely have this option of taking the pawn, because if he takes your bishop, he loses the rook. If he takes the rook, you get your queen with check. So they're both undesirable, and in that case, what does he do? Move the rook here, but then this pawn hangs. So what do? You take the bishop and hang the rook. That's the best option. Ouch. Oh god, so that was just winning right away. Yeah, so you see I moved, you know, way too quickly. As soon as my brain saw I had this option and this option, it was like within 1 to 2 seconds I had already decided I was going here and stopped looking at alternatives. But there's a clear win right there. So keep this stuff in mind. You see wins are all over the place, and we're missing them all the time. So the more of these we can grab and pay attention to, the more elo we're going to grab and climb. So always look for tactics. They're the most important thing. Good luck in your chess. Submit your games in my Discord. Goodbye.